The Omicron variant is now in 50 states, leading to a drastic surge in cases. And researchers across the Commonwealth are busy working to find out how prevalent the Omicron variant is in Virginia by analyzing positive COVID-19 tests.
Joining us now by phone is Dr. Michael Friedlander, Executive Director for the Fralin Biomedical Research Institute, which is playing a major role in searching for the variant. Pretty incredible to have this here at home. Good morning to you, Dr. Friedlander.
Good morning.
So on average, how many COVID-19 tests is the Institute examining for signs of Omicron right now?
Yeah, we're averaging about 250 a week or so. Our capacity for that type of analysis, called whole genome sequencing, is about 400 a week. Lately, we've been getting about 250 to 300 or so samples per week from the health department to examine.
Now, you say that these tests are coming from the health department. Are they coming from any other places as well?
No, actually, so what we do, we're still doing our standard PCR testing. We've done about 180,000 PCR tests in total now through Southwest Virginia. And any of the positives we find on our own, we do whole genome sequencing on and check. But meanwhile, the health department is sending us samples from literally all over the state of Virginia, not just the southwestern Virginia area, but from the entire state. And that includes local hospitals in the area, including the VA, etc. So we're really seeing samples from a very broad swath of the state right now to test for Omicron and other variants for that matter.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I'm wondering what you're finding in the Omicron sequencing. Does that go into the numbers that we're seeing? Because we've been told by VDH that they don't know exactly how many are here locally, but they have kind of like a generalized statewide number, maybe even a region number for the Northeast.
Yeah, we provide all of that data, all those data to the VDH, and then they use it to compile and report statistically on the entire state and regions in the state. I think it's very important to know that when we actually analyze for variants, that information is not used diagnostically for an individual patient. That is, if I get a PCR test for COVID and I'm positive, I'm not also told I have Delta or I have Omicron or whatever it might be. That information is just for surveillance and goes into this database you referred to that the VDH uses to look for trends throughout the state.
That's very interesting. Now, you did mention genome sequencing. So what exactly are researchers looking for in the genetic code of the virus?
Yeah, we're looking for changes, and those changes can take a variety of forms. For example, a standard mutation would be a small change in the sequence of letters, as we call them, of the RNA, which stands for ribonucleic acid, the genome of the virus. So it might change from one letter to another, and that mutation could cause a different type of a protein to be made on the surface of the virus, for example. Another type of change we look for are what are called dropouts. That is, certain genes, certain parts of the genome that simply drop out, and we don't see them anymore. So it's very important to know what to look for. So we do a couple types of analysis. Every night on all the positives we get locally, we do something called a rapid mutational analysis. This is a way we can look for individual mutations that night very quickly. But then the ones we get back from the state, we do a whole genome sequencing. We don't just look at certain points for something of interest. We look at the whole genome, any possible changes across the entire genome of the virus.
While doing this research, have you all found any new variants?
We certainly have seen new mutations, but I wouldn't say new variants. So in other words, these viruses are mutating all the time. This is just the nature, what happens in all sorts of microorganisms all the time. So we're always seeing little changes here and there, and we're keeping our eyes peeled. But no, we haven't seen any types of new variants at all. So we're just screening for the variants that we're told about that are out there. And of course, Delta was the one we were screening for mostly. I mean, we see that all the time, of course, as does everybody across the country. And now, of course, have our eyes out for Omicron as well.
Well, thank you, Dr. Friedlander. Is there anything else that you wish to add to our viewers to help us understand this a little bit more?
Well, the only thing I would say is you know, everybody needs to be careful. We all thought this was going away in the summer or a little bit later. but clearly there's been a resurgence. So everybody's heard what the warnings are. If you can, you're eligible, get fully vaccinated, including boosters, and still maintain those good health practices of staying distant, wearing masks when possible, washing hands, etc. We're seeing this in a way that we think we're going to be looking at it for a while, and so we hope everybody takes it seriously. We'll be here in the community to do the testing for as long as needed. We're set up to go virtually indefinitely, and we hope we can continue to contribute to the community's health in that regard.
Absolutely. Looks like it's going to stick around for a while longer. Dr. Michael Friedlander, Executive Director of the Fralin Biomedical Research Institute, thanks so much for joining us this morning on Good Day Virginia.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.